Sir, you had seen it all, but when you took charge of Cabinet Secretariat, what was your role in PRAGATI?
Thank you so much. Till that time when PRAGATI was about to be introduced, the entire effort for monitoring in government, especially the large projects, was dependent on a project monitoring group, an exclusive group that collated information, compiled it, and presented it. But the biggest difficulty in handling the inputs received from PMG was they were borrowed inputs, and there was a latency as the largest gap, which was evident all through. Our role, and specifically my role in the PMO at that point in time, was to coordinate with the NIC, the Cabinet Secretariat, and the PMO to prepare this dashboard that we contemplated changing the entire scenario for monitoring for government. Because at that point in time, the feeling in the Prime Minister's mind during the briefing was cost overrun and time overrun not only erodes the resource base that we have, it also eats on the tangible and intangible gains that are expected from a large infrastructure project. And his philosophy has always been that don't try anything incremental, do something transformational. And PRAGATI was contemplated as a transformational project at that point in time. Arvind Sharma, the Joint Secretary in the PMO, had the experience of handling Swagat in Gujarat. So we had a very sound foundation of experience available through Arvind Sharma, and all of us worked with him to create this ecosystem. And just to put it shortly, it works on digital governance principles to fast-track decision-making, to identify constraints, and bring in a culture of collective accountability. I mean, that was the watchword with which the entire effort of creating PRAGATI was made in the PM.
So this inception of PRAGATI was 2015, and you joined as a Cabinet Secretariat, in 2016. It's just 1 year of time. Steering this new model of governance, you must have faced some challenges. Do you believe that all those challenges have been overcome now? And what were the challenges, if you could just tell us, in brief?
If you allow me, I would correct you on the dates. I joined the PMO in October 2014. And I was upgraded to the level of secretary in 2016. So in the formative period of PRAGATI, I was very much of a part of the PMO team that was working relentlessly to develop this dashboard. And if you purely talk about this dashboard, which is it? It is actually deploying 3 core technologies. A core technology for data management, a core technology for video or drone feeds, and a facility for video conferencing. So any technical hiccup that you would contemplate emanating from a dashboard were very much part of this dashboard development as well. And technical glitches, talk of it, I can cite a small example. In the very first 3 or 4 meetings of the PRAGATI, in one of the PRAGATI meetings, the server lost its connectivity. PM had to wait 37 minutes for the connectivity to be restored, and only thereafter the PRAGATI meeting could commence. So talk of data management, talk of data overload, talk of usability, talk of navigability, talk of communication hiccups, they were part of the entire process. But I'm happy that because there was a team which had in its mind a layout that it wanted to be completed within a defined time frame, it knew no barriers. Because aside of the digital problems that I just cited, because we were wanting states to come on board, Government of India's ministries to be part of the entire process of monitoring, naturally turf holding,
Yeah.
the processes that are so labyrinthic in government, the protected legal issues that emanate, the contractual problems, they also were a part of it, because maybe the entire presentation would be in a digital mode, but all these inputs would feed into the data that is presented before the Prime Minister for the review. So we were simultaneously grappling with both issues on digital side, issues on the human resource input side, which created the difficulties, but I am happy that at the end we could surmount all those difficulties and come out with a system that has just seen its 50th review meeting on 31st of December.
Absolutely a historical and significant milestone, sir. Mr. Khulbe, but I just wanted to know, because this is a technology-driven platform, how did it enable smooth coordination between states and center? And can you cite any anecdote where you believe that it worked wonders for that particular project?
Look, Pragati is an institutional mechanism. It may be a digital deployment, but in its own character, because it is institutional, it worked on cooperative federalism with very easy merging with the scheme that we had in mind. You wanted an example. I can cite the example of the Baramulla-Jammu link. It has changed the entire landscape of railway journey in the state of Jammu Kashmir, bringing India on a pedestal that people never thought we would reach. And if you see, without Pragati, the entire progress of that project was such that plain extrapolation would show to you that the project would have culminated in 2047. And look, we had the Prime Minister inaugurating the rail link last year.
Absolutely.
That is the biggest difference this cooperative federalism brought through Pragati, because it is time-bound, it is real-time, it is outcome-driven. So naturally, everyone realized that if delivery across time has to improve, we have to move to technology and do something which has done good institutional deliveries throughout. And Pragati is one big example.
In each and every sector that touches people's life, Mr. Khulbe, I think that has been included in Pragati. And I would say from a union minister saying that there is no coordination between departments and therefore the implementation of projects get delayed, to today when you have 340 critical projects that have been completed worth $250 or $205 billion completed in time. I think we are going at a good rate as far as fast tracking of infrastructure projects are concerned in the country. And thank you so much for taking out time on this important matter. But
I would like to add a few points before we conclude. The multifaceted impact that Pragati that you just mentioned can be summed up in 4 dimensions. The economic dimension, that return of the rupee invested has come faster when projects have been commissioned faster. Secondly, social gains have added so much cumulatively that citizens feel that it is for their benefit that Pragati is working. And thirdly, environment, sustainability that people so fondly talk of today, has to thank Pragati, because Parivesh, the portal that Environment Ministry runs for providing environmental clearances and forest clearances, actually is an offshoot of Pragati.
Yes.
It emanated out of that. PM Gati Shakti, which uses, as you said, GIS planning for monitoring, is actually a part that has emanated from the experience that the Prime Minister gained during Pragati meetings. And lastly, the governance change that it has ushered in. Delivery, transparency, visibility, all have accrued just because one particular dashboard has acted in harmony together as a team. People have delivered. And I'm really fascinated to sum up that if Pragati means, to quote what University of Oxford study says, that it powers progress, it has powered progress by empowering people who have worked together.
Absolutely.
Right? And I can, being part of the Team India, say with pride that it has changed the infrastructure landscape mapping and monitoring in a way that Team India can say that yes, collectively we do it, we can.
Most importantly, the leadership, Prime Minister himself personally, review each and every project, and that is, I think, at the heart of the success of Pragati, Mr. Khulbe, I believe.
I entirely agree with you. Without a leader who is thinking about how to bring about changes in India, that it catapults itself into a developed country, gains by 27 the status of a third strongest economy in the country, and the country becomes a Viksit Bharat when it completes 100 years in 2047. A charismatic leader like the Prime Minister is actually the biggest gain that India should cite today, and Pragati is one example of how a big leader actually chooses to change the game by just introduction of technology for monitoring.
Absolutely. Accountability, timely implementation is all it takes to ensure that the costs are not overrun. And this is at the heart of the projects that are being implemented in the country. Thank you so much, Mr. Bhaskar Khulbe, for speaking to Times Now.